Hey Chestnuts, Sasha here, welcome to the Spanner Lab. Today we're going to be looking at the Colle System. It's a system opening, so I don't really like them. It stops, I think, players from developing reactive chess, where you react to what your opponent's doing. But what this is going to do is give you a very solid setup in the opening. Eventually we're going to get to a position that looks like this. So the key idea here is to build up these pawns and then also find good solid defensive positions for some of your minor pieces. It's not perfect, it's certainly not perfect, but for a player who's just starting out, who's a little bit nervous, who gets incredibly nervous playing reactive chess, this is a good stabilizer. Basically just a support system to get you used to playing reactive chess, deliver you to that middle game safely, and then you can start playing properly. So it's good because it's you don't have to react much to what your opponent's doing. You can basically ignore them, and I'm going to be showing you that. So first move is d4. The idea here with d4 is, of course, control of the central squares. I have a player who likes to play e3 and then later develop it into this triangle formation with the other two pawns. The reason that's not quite as good is because it fails to stop black from just doing whatever they want. So if black were to play e5 here, that's just a mistake, that's a free pawn for you. So the next move that black might play is probably d5. Might play knight f6, doesn't matter. Any good move for black can be replied to in the exact same way. So knight f3, knight f6, e3, e6, bishop to d3. So we're starting to build up this formation. Castle, bishop to d6, rook to e1, which also develops the rook, gets that on a nice square. The black moves are not really relevant right now, so now finally we've got that solid pawn structure. And then knight to d2, and there we've got it. There's our setup with the three pawns here and then the three pieces slotting behind them. We've also got this rook here is also developed. Now we're going to need to do some work to get this bishop out. This bishop's a little bit stuck. The queen finds a good square on c2, but that's the Colle system. And it's fairly solid. It doesn't really get you to the middle game winning, but it gets you there drawing, which if you're a player who is losing most of their games, drawing's good, drawing's great. Drawing is a great place to start. So let's see what happens if your opponent doesn't play moves that help you. What if your opponent played d6 in this position? It's not the most common move, but it's a fairly common move. Well, you carry on as normal. Well, then what if c5 comes in? So the biggest threat to the Colle system is c5 played at some point. Here you take it. Best move here is this check, which you develop another knight. You finally get that pawn taken back, and then now you've got 1, 2, 3 pieces developed, and your opponent only has 1. So white's winning in this position. Most surprise moves in the Colle system aren't great. They're generally bad. If you get surprised by something in the Colle system, if you're sat there going, oh, that doesn't look right, stop, breathe. There will be a good reply for you. It might mean leaving the Colle system but you're going to be winning at the end of it. So do not worry. There are no surprises that you can't deal with and end up on the right end of. Okay? So again, if c5 comes in here, e3 can still be played. Most of the time, c5 will not stop you. So if instead of c5 getting played there, what if it gets played after the bishop move? Well, again, you just castle. It's still not going to stop you from building up this Colle system. Again, after castling, c5 comes in there, you can just play the rook. After castling in this situation, you can play c3, but c4 is better. So that is the one deviation I would be aware of, is if by now that they've castled, c4 is better. It is going to blow that Colle system right open. You're not going to end up in a incredibly winning position. It's still going to be drawing. So pay attention to this particular series of moves. So c5 is likely to come in. You take the d pawn, e pawn takes you back. Then you take that c5 pawn, bishop takes back. And then play h3 just to stop this knight from coming in here, or this bishop from coming in here and pinning your knight. So that is one of the few cases in which the Colle system does get broken. Most of the time it's going to work. So your moves in order are d4, knight f3, e3, bishop to d3, castle, rook to e1, c3, and knight to d2. And that's the general idea. You can play with the move order, but d4 is the best way to start. e3, you don't need to do it. It allows e5. So if we try that with e3 starting off, and then e5, d4 results in that quite often, which you've lost your system. Straight away, you can't do that system anymore. There's also a possibility they might play this instead, in which case you can carry on. So they might play the d pawn instead, in which case you can carry on. But you really actually in this position should probably take, because if that takes back, you're now winning. So you've got a strong advantage in this position. Anytime you've got the opportunity to exchange queens and force the king off a square, off its home square, so it can't castle, that's an advantage. So that is the Colle system. d4, knight f3, e3, bishop to d3, castle, rook e1, c3, knight to d2. It's a lot to remember, but you don't have to do it in this order. You just remember this pattern, get all your pieces in the right spaces eventually, and you've got a strong setup going into the middle game. And that should stop you from making too many mistakes earlier on. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. Maybe you go on to use the Colle system. Maybe you think, actually the Colle system's rubbish, I'm not going to do that anymore, I'm going to play the Queen's Gambit. Tell me, and I'll make a Queen's Gambit video. Everything's going to be great. Like, subscribe, do whatever. I've been Sasha. Thank you, and bye.